Listen, I'm sure most of us appreciate a good sex scene, but it turns out that Gen Z, or Gen Z if you're Canadian, might actually rely on them. A Cosmos survey found 43% of young people over the age of 18 felt more knowledgeable about sex after watching shows like Bridgerton, Girls, and Normal People. So is it good or bad that Gen Z relies on TV and film for sex education, sex knowledge, sex curiosity?
Boo, eh?
We don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so first of all, obviously I'm a sex educator. I'm a big proponent of sex education. I think that goes without saying. And I take issue with maybe this is a survey, so let's not assume that all Gen Z relies on this as their sex education. But I will say, I think there's not a problem with this. And in fact, I think it's actually a better thing today than it was in our generation, in many of our generations. I grew up learning about sex like so many people, like watching like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, watching Porky's, watching like, you know, I'm trying to think about many, like Blue Lagoon,
all those Fatal Attraction.
And they were, you know, we remember all those, right? And they were oftentimes kind of problematic, a little bit sexist through a male lens, whereas today you have things like Girls, right? Which depicted like messy, awkward, self-pleasure, like all these different kinds of sex. And so I think that there's a different conversation and a different opportunity to learn for this generation that we didn't have. So I'm not gonna crap on it.
That's a really good
perspective.
That's a really good perspective.
I'm going to say, as a parent, you know, this is a very controversial topic for some people. Anywhere you are in this country, anywhere in the world, when you start talking about sex ed, my head immediately goes to schools, and there's been different school boards that have had trouble where parents are like, do not be the one to teach my child sex ed. Okay, fine. If you want to be the one to teach your child sex, if you don't want the school to be the one to teach your child sex ed, then parents, it must be on you then to teach the sex ed. And why that's important is that's very personal. Every family is going to have a different take on it. Your belief system, your value system, your religion, it's going to guide you and inform you differently as a parent. So I get it. We need to, as parents, get over our own stuff. If it's icky, if it's weird, if it's awkward, it's either you get over yourself or your child might be learning from porn what sex is. Let's do it.
Might be. They most definitely will be, because I was one of the few, and I didn't realize when my mom set me down when I was 9 years old to give me the sex talk. First of all, I thought I'd done something wrong. I was like, why are we having this discussion? And then as I got older, I realized I was the only one out of all of my peers who had that chat with their parent. Everybody else was learning from all of these different places, usually porn, some movie. And it was very interesting because I'm like, it's such an important part of our lives. So I'm curious with the parents, don't you want to have some kind of control about when your child learns, how your child learns about it, and not leave it to some TV show or whatever online? I think it's very interesting. But again, I'm wondering if it's not so much about the sex, like the intercourse, and more about relationships. Because I've said this, I've had a lot of sex ed, I've heard all the information. No one has ever taught me how to navigate the emotional stuff when it comes to relationships. So the books that I really like Judy Blume, and the shows that I'm drawn to. Netflix has this great one called Forever. It's so good. That kind of stuff, no one ever sat me down and said, okay, so this is how you navigate your feelings when you fall in love for the first time. Or this is how you find your boundaries. And consent. No one talks about that, because you know what? The kids are going to figure out how to put slot A into slot B. But you got to talk to them about all the emotional stuff that it comes with.
But you know what surprised me about this? I don't know if it raises any flags for you, but that this survey was for Gen Z, over the age 18 or older. Like when I 18 or older, your sex ed, I mean, shouldn't you kind of know by then? Do you know what I mean? When we're talking about the shows that we used to watch, like for me it was Fatal Attraction, not the bunny scene, the sink scene. If you know it, you know it. But like I was 13 because I was watching what my parents were watching, for better or worse, because think about generationally, there was only one screen. One screen in the whole house, right? Which is kind of, it's interesting.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we're gonna leave it there. That was weird. That was awkward, kind of like your first time having sex. Kind of awkward. All right.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.